And so some things have changed since that video, and I just wanted to share a little bit about sort of who we are, what we've been up to the past year, because like everybody else, we had to make some significant changes, and answer any questions you might have. I do welcome you, in case I forget to say it later. We are outdoors. We are typically all masked. I'm not right now because I'm alone, other than the horses. And so you're welcome if you want to get in contact with me to walk the farm. I'd love to show it to you. It's a great way to get out. So just like Evan said, we use our horses and our fully accessible farm to really help individuals who are in need of support. So it goes beyond just autism spectrum. It is anybody with any kind of developmental or physical challenge, as well as emotional difficulties. You can imagine the past year, we have certainly seen a lot of people who might come to us on a shorter term basis, but are managing through the trauma of the past year. We see our youngest client is typically about 2.5. That's sort of our minimum age. And our eldest client before the lockdown was 84. So you can see that we have a wide range. The same with our volunteers. Our volunteers start at age 14, and currently our the eldest volunteer whose age I know is 82. So so we really appeal to a lot of different individuals. There's a lot of benefits being both with horses and being on the farm. In terms of being as a rider, the physical benefits are often around coordination and muscle and trunk control, which for many of our clients also leads to sort of a more upright sitting position and makes breathing and speech easier. Emotionally, it is just being in the moment. I think we all understand the benefit of just being outside, particularly these days. And when you're with a 1,000+ pound animal, there's really nowhere else you can mentally be other than with that animal. And then, of course, socially, horses are very social animals. They reflect our behaviors very well. So if you kind of come in tense and stressed, they feel that. And the minute you sort of let go of that tension, you'll hear them kind of sigh or make that, I can't make that horse sound with my lips, but that lovely relaxing sound. So they are really fabulous mirrors for people who might not necessarily understand social cues from humans as well. They also really thrive on structure, as do, frankly, I will say, I think most humans. So they act as great coaches for a lot of our groundwork, where they can follow job boards and job sites and really kind of follow that structure. Horses respond beautifully to that. So what you did see in the video, I wanted to share a little bit about what we've been doing since the pandemic. So we, like everybody else, had to shut down in March. Therapeutic riding is a very high touch activity. So we typically have 3 individuals in any one lesson. We have a volunteer lead walker who is trained but always comes to us with horse experience. We have a volunteer sidewalker who is trained by us but doesn't have to have any horse experience, but provides that physical support of keeping some of our riders on who might not have the ability to stay centered on a horse. And then we have our PATH certified instructors. And so as you can imagine, we have not yet been able to return to therapeutic riding. We can't figure out a way to do that both safely for the client yet, as well as for our staff and our volunteers. We are hoping that with the new vaccines that this will change, hopefully sometime in the summer, and definitely hopefully by the fall. So what we have done is immediately upon the lockdown, we heard both from our participants and our volunteers that they just really missed being here. You know, when as a small nonprofit, when you enter something like this, we are often an adjunct therapy for a lot of our families. So, and we are not a critical service. We don't provide shelter, we don't provide food. And we were really curious about where we would stand in our community. And it became apparent immediately that we provided, or they craved, sort of getting lost, if you will. And so our staff did a bunch of things to respond to that. Every day we used Instagram Live, and we would have participants and volunteers alike who would get on and asked to just visit with certain animals that they were particularly fond of. So whether it was horses or goats or pigs or chickens, they wanted to connect again. We tried to do fun things to help families we literally would sit with a horse and read stories, children's stories, and it gave, again, families just a short distraction for their loved one. But at the same time, we provided curriculum. We created a series of videos that a lot of educators used to try to supplement their online learning. Also, we recognized that some of the critical services in the community were not being met. Particularly if there was a shortage in food. We work often with Oasis in Patterson. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Oasis, but there was a food shortage. And so you saw in the video that we had the year before received that additional land where we planned a little bit more extravagant garden, but instead the staff took whatever we could get our hands on. We used a lot of tile crates, and we built a garden with raised beds outside. It was our salvation as well. But we wound up harvesting more than 800 pounds of food that we were able to donate, mostly to Oasis, also to some of the families that would come to the farm. It wound up becoming the core of a new program we developed when we reopened in July. Again, we couldn't reopen to therapeutic riding, but we needed to make the farm accessible for our participants. So our amazing instructor staff put together a program, because we have a lot of experience with providing groundwork. Not all of our participants have always ridden with us. We put together a program that involved a series of 8 stations, and families could choose any 3 stations and come together as a family. We needed to do that so that many of our clients need hands-on assistance, and our staff couldn't provide that and stay socially distant. So it became a family outing. It was a great way for a lot of our participants to learn how to wear a mask and to learn how to social distance and some of the new norms. And they got involved in the garden and the harvesting. They had hands-on time with the horses. They had a whole series of things to choose from. There were things as quiet as mindfulness walks. We have a number of social workers on staff. We created really fun farm-style obstacle courses, so kids running around with wheelbarrows and scooping poop. And but it really it allowed us to reopen and stay afloat, but more importantly, it gave our families sort of that first place. We had quite a few families who hadn't been out of their house because they said everywhere they went, they were on the defensive. They have highly immune compromised family members, and they couldn't go anywhere, but they could come here. And so we were very proud of that. And then we also opened up, our horses needed to be worked, and they missed our riders. So we did open up riding to more independent riders, those who didn't need as much support. And that's where we currently stand today. Which means that we're operating at about 50% of our capacity, which financially, of course, impacts us. Our model is that usually our fee for service represents about 30% of our budget. Even the fees we collect are less than the actual cost to run programs. And so the balance is usually through fundraising. This past year, between not being able to complete last year's spring semester. So we had a lot of money that we either had to reimburse to families or credits that we had to carry over, and canceled program. We ran with less than 10% fee for service. What has been amazing is to see the way our community kind of rallied around us. So we are very proud that we have been able to maintain all but one staff member. We have a really highly individualized, very trained staff. A lot of them, they all have to be certified. I'm the only, no, there's 3 of us that are not certified and not involved with the horses. I do the fundraising and marketing and communications. But everybody else is, and we, Murphy's Law, we had finally gotten the staff to exactly where we needed it to be to fully service and maximize our programs. And that's always the way it runs. So that's a little bit about us. I don't know if there's anything else that, the other thing that we are also running, a program that my own daughter benefits from, so I can't believe I forgot it. We do an after school and Saturday team program. It's ground based, so they do things in the garden, they work with the horses, and we were able to continue to run that even during the lockdown, because we ran it virtually. As you probably are aware firsthand, most teens are really struggling right now. They're quite isolated, particularly the older kids aren't back in school in the same way that some of the younger kids might be back in school. So this has been a great way to give them sort of a social outlet. They don't realize that this is a social skills group. They just love being together, but they're learning a lot from each other and learning how to communicate and interact. Most of the, we run 3 different programs. One of them is run really mostly for teens with autism, and so they tend to be a little bit less communicative, a little bit more involved. The other 2 groups are mostly teens with anxiety, particularly social anxiety, and a lot of depression. We're seeing a lot of people coming to us with needs for depression. So that's a little bit about Pony Power. Is there anything I can answer for any of you?
Well, first of all, it's an excellent presentation, so thank you, and thank you for doing it from the barn. This is it's been a nice change, and hearing the horse in the background is special. It's amazing how your program has grown since 2000. I mean, just moving from 1 horse in a single location in Paramus to what, 13 acres now, and really incredible story. My question for you is, do you reach out to mental health organizations in the area to provide your services to them as an extension of what they're doing? So for instance, West Bergen Mental Health down in Ridgewood, are they aware of your services?
I believe they are aware. We do not work directly with them. We do work heavily with the psychiatry department of Hackensack. They send a lot of their clients to us. And actually the screen I'm talking to you on, we received some grant money at the beginning of the pandemic, and we have 2 barns, and we have one of these screens in each barn. And the intent of those screens is that we could have a staff member here with a client with a horse, and we could have somebody basically do telehealth. So we work heavily with Hackensack and Valley hospitals. Hackensack, we work with Sinceri Children's Hospital, as well as particularly the psychiatry department in the past 2 years, I would say, has significantly started sending more clients. Additionally, down the road is the new center that's just opening for individuals with addiction. And that was a partnership between Hackensack and Carrier Institute. Carrier Institute already worked with equine therapy as part of that. And so we are going to be their provider.